Ian and Pam Buckingham have spent a lifetime on the land. When Cosmo Kentish Barnes was in South Canterbury on his final recording trip, he stopped at their farm for a chat and a cuppa.
We're at Hook, which is just north of Waimate.
And we are at your family farm.
Yes, that's right. I was born here in April 1939, and we've had it since 1925. Family has. But I've lived here all my life.
Was it your father who bought the farm?
My grandfather bought the farm, and unfortunately things were pretty tough, and they went into the Depression in the 1930s. And then Dad and his brother, they managed to get enough money together to carry it on. And then Dad and I farmed together, and then I farmed on my own, and then Colin and I farmed in partnership, and now Colin is on his own.
And Colin is one of your three sons?
He's our oldest son.
How old were you when you left school?
15. I would have liked to have gone truck driving, but Dad said no, there was enough work to do on the farm, and he wanted me to help out.
Tell me about the farm. How many hectares have you got, and what is the soil like?
I'm not too sure on the number of hectares. It used to be 404 acres. This is rolling country. It is all workable, plus 33 acres of riverbed. We've added 2 blocks to it. One we've still got, and the other one was sold off to our youngest son, who went into the pig business. And there's only about 8 inches of good soil, and then you've got clay underneath. It doesn't drain particularly well, but it's a clay silt loam.
What have been some of the biggest changes you've seen since you first started working on this farm?
Well, Dad always used to run it as a mixed cropping farm, and the reason for that was you had sheep and cattle and crop, and if one wasn't returning very good returns, well, the other one sort of compensated, and your income was kept on a pretty average sort of a level.
And you used to run up to 2,500 sheep, and now there are only 12 left on the farm.
Yes, that's right. It is now a cropping farm because Colin is more interested in cropping than in stock. But as a professor said, Professor Walker said one time, you can't put back into the ground out of a bag what you can put back in through an animal. But that has changed a lot.
When you grew crops, would you sow them and not go back to the paddock until they needed to be harvested?
Virtually, yes. We'd sow the wheat in May. Yeah, there was very, very little spraying done, or very, very little top dressing done. But now it is just totally different.
But yields are much higher now, I guess.
Well, it's not easy for me to work it out. In my day, it was talked about in bushels to the acre, and a bushel of wheat was 60 pounds, and a bushel of barley was 50 pounds. Now they talk about tonnes to the hectare, and to be economic or to get a good crop, he needs 10 tonne to the hectare. Now I'm I'm very old-fashioned, and I'm not. Just to work it all out gives me a headache.
And Colin, your son, often gets you to help out on the farm. What sort of things do you do?
Fixing fences and stock work. I help him with the stock work and odd jobs. It keeps me going. If you get up in the morning and you know you've got something to do that day, that's good. If you haven't got anything to do, you just sit round, or you're liable to sit round and worry, I suppose. But no, if you've got a job to do, it's good to get going on it.
Now, Pam, how did you and Ian meet?
At a dance at Waimate. Those are the things you did then, was just dances. So you went round each hall or whenever the dances were on, and you went singly, and then you met up with somebody, and if you were lucky enough, you went home.
And that was it? Love at first sight?
Almost.
So, are you a local person too?
Yes, I come from Makiki. Born and bred in Makiki.
Were your parents farmers?
Yes, we had a native flax farm to start with until the war ended and they didn't need the rope any longer and they didn't need the twine. So we had to diversify and go into stock and cows and, the sheep.
How was the flax processed?
They had to cut it and bring it in by lorries, and then we had a mill, and it was put through a stripper, and that knocked all the green stuff off it, and it was gathered up, and then it was put outside in a big paddock and dried, and then they'd have to turn it again, it would be flat, turn it again, then bundled it up and sent it away to Donahue's and made it into rope or whatever they wanted it for.
Did you used to help out in the mill? Too young.
No, but we used to go down and see it. I can still remember seeing it a wee bit, but those are days we could follow my father around, and the big belts were still going round and round the pulleys, and no guards, no nothing. We never told to be safety or anything like that. Yeah.
Things have changed a bit now.
Very much so.
Yeah. Your folks must have been shocked when the floor fell out of the flax industry.
Well, yes, but they had land, so they just turned the flax land, which was pretty swampy, drained it and turned it into arable farm. Well, not arable, but just into grazing farming. We didn't do any arable work.
Is the family still on the land?
No, it's been sold.
Now, you are a potter,
Yes.
aren't you?
Yes.
What got you into that?
I've been a netballer all my life until that stage, and I give up, and then I thought, what am I going to do now? And I always wanted to do pottery. I'd seen it in the AMP show years ago, this man doing something on a wheel, and I was fascinated with it. And so I thought, right, I'll go to pottery. So I did, went to lessons with my Waimate for a long time, and then branched off out on my own and taught up in South Canterbury and taught a blind man, and then I turned around and taught a deaf man about half an hour between. I was always going to put both together so one could teach the other.
And you've got your own kiln and wheel here
Yes.
on the farm.
Yes, own wheel, and I've got 2 wheels or 3 wheels, and a wheel shed out there with it all in it,
Yes.
and a kiln. And I'm now teaching my granddaughters.
Tell me about the pottery that you do. What's your style?
I like making bottles and things to look at. I'm more into the ornamentals. I don't do handwork, I do mainly wheel work. So I make up my own glazes and have all the ingredients out there in the cupboard, and we use that.
Pam, you've just given me a wee coaster, and on it says Buckingham Farm, and there's a picture of a sheep and some crops, and underneath it says 1925 to 2025, and this is a celebration of how long Ian's family have been on the land here.
That's right, yes. We decided to get some clay from the farm and try it out, and which worked, and we had to sieve it several times to get a lot of sand and rubbish out of it, and then we had to wedge it all up, and fortunately my granddaughters come to help, and they cut them out for me, and I had a friend that made the stamp, and we stamped them, and we fired them. So it's all been done on the farm. The clay and the firing's all done on the farm.
Ian, have you got the pottery bug?
No, I haven't. One in the family's enough.
Now, as well as being a farmer, you're also a musician. You play the piano
Yes.
and you sing. Tell me about that. When did you first start playing the piano?
I was taught to play the piano when I was at primary school at the Waituna Creek School. The head teacher's wife taught me to play the piano and learn music. But when I left school, I decided that it was more convenient to play by ear. In other words, I could go to a party or somewhere and I didn't have to take my music. I played by ear. And I'm still doing that. Dad was in the Waimate Choral Society, so I sang in that society for a few years until they went into recess, or it just folded up. But at the moment, we're in an entertainment group in Waimate Savage and Entertainment Group, and if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't still play the piano very much.
So you do shows?
Yes, that's right. We have our own concerts in Waimate. We have about 6 or 7 concerts a year, and we were at one on Sunday, combined with Ashburton Club and the Timaru Club and the Waimate Club, and we had a concert on Sunday afternoon. And we used to go on raids, and a raid is when the local club travels by bus to another club and puts on a concert. And we're actually doing that in September. We're travelling to Hokitika, and they're a lot of fun. You bond together and entertain together, and yeah.
Good on you. It's good to keep active, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yes.
Now we've been in the kitchen and we're just going into the living room now, where your Bentley piano is. What would you like to play for me?
I can't really think. The Happy Wanderer.
Ian Buckingham at the Keys at Lansdown Farm in Hook, near Waimate. Cosmo was also speaking to his wife, Pam Buckingham. Just one of a couple of stories Cosmo recorded before leaving country life.